What's up YouTube? No More Op 4 coming at you with another video here. This time I'm going to show you how to install the scope base adapter onto a 1022. This is the Ruger 1022 obviously. This is the carbine model. I believe the number is 1151 if you're curious. But right now just going to show you how to install the scope base adapter so you can mount any sort of scope on here. I just bought a little cheapo that I'm going to put on here just to test out. See how I like it to determine if I'm gonna put something nicer on there or just leave it as is possibly. I'm not gonna do a review of the gun in this video. Gonna have that coming up shortly here. Planning on getting a long day at the range out here soon and reviewing a couple new guns that I've purchased recently, so keep your eye out for those. But this is just gonna be a quick video on how to install the scope base adapter. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do obviously is make sure the gun is safe. I've retracted the bolt handle already and locked that in place. I've taken out the rotary magazine, made sure the gun is safe, and I have the safety on the on position. So the next thing you're going to want to do is get your scope base adapter that comes with the Ruger. There are 4 screws that you're going to use. Now I do recommend, just warning you right now, when you take these ones out, you're going to want to make sure you keep those just in case you don't like this adapter. So next thing you're going to do after you've made sure the gun is safe is just go ahead and remove the screws. And make sure when you do it you don't strip the screws, because that will cause problems down the road. Now, if you've got big hands like I do, take your time. You don't want to scratch the top of the base. And you want to be very careful because these screws are very tiny and they are very easy to lose. So after you've removed the 4 headless screws, the next thing that you would want to do, well, the first thing I did was I put them into the bag that the scope base adapter and screws came in. Next thing would be to just check for debris in any of the threads. Obviously if you're working on a clean workbench, you shouldn't have any issues with that. One word of caution here, the manual and I recommend not using Loctite or any sort of sealant, because the holes are right into the receiver. They go right into the bolt, and any sealant might be able to drip down into the action, and you don't want any of that happening. That could cause potentially a serious malfunction there. So be careful with that. The screws are big enough and the threads are deep enough that you shouldn't have any issues. And we're not shooting a 308 here, it's 22, so you're not going to have any sort of issues with the screws coming loose with the deep as the threads are. So just something to be cautious of. So the next step for installing the adapter, you can see that there are 4 holes. 2 are spaced closer than the other 2. Obviously just match those up. Now when you get these lined up, what you're going to want to do, let me see if I can zoom in close enough here without getting my monkey hands in the way, is just tighten the screws until they catch. Don't want to tighten each screw all the way. What you're going to want to do is just tighten them, turn and a half, one by one, until the adapter is tightly in place. So I'm going to do that now. Once that's done, you're going to want to check, because these are drilled and tapped, you're going to want to make sure that these screws are not interfering with the bolt. So just release it a couple times. You'll be able to feel it. Just make sure your other hand's on it. You'll be able to feel if there's any sort of obstruction. If you do have to shorten one of the screws, that's not a problem. Just make sure to chamfer its top. So, excuse me. Be sure to chamfer its top so it doesn't cross thread the hole in the receiver. So you're not out of luck if there are any issues, but just be careful when doing that. So after you've got the base installed tightly, the next thing you're going to want to do is just go ahead and, per whatever instructions of whatever optic you're mounting, just follow those instructions. Personally, I'm going to mount my optic based on this being a little cheapo reflex. I'm going to mount this right over the bolt. You know, depending on if you're putting a scope on or something else, you know, you might want to do it a little bit differently. But after that, you know, just take it to the range, do a little zeroing in. Probably going to zero it at 50 yards. This is just a plinker, not really using it for anything other than that. At a later date, I may put another scope, or excuse me, another stock on here. I'll keep you updated and certainly do a video on that if I do. But for right now, you know, no more OP4, just showing you how to install the base adapter. If you have any questions, send me a PM or give me a comment. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm out of here.